Good evening and welcome to the October 20th session of the City of Lake Forest City Council agenda. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Certainly. Honorable Mayor Tack.
Here.
Alderman Novit. Here. Alderman Clements.
Here.
Alderman Notes.
Here.
Alderman Powers.
Here.
Alderman Levert.
Here.
Alderman Bosfeld.
Here.
Alderman Weber.
Here.
Alderman Waller.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Excellent. Will you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Okay, so tonight we get to do some fun stuff. Okay, then we'll go back to the original plan. All right, we get to do some fun things. We're going to start with a resolution honoring the 125th anniversary of the First Baptist Church. I will read the resolution and then ask Pastor Todd Fletcher to come up and accept the proclamation resolution, and then we'll take some photographs, if you all don't mind. Okay, so that's Michael Gallo. Whereas the clergy and membership of the First Baptist Church are celebrating its 125th anniversary in 2025, and whereas since its humble beginnings, established in 1900 when services moved from home to home and later to Haley's Hall, to establishing its permanent home on Oakwood Avenue in 1903, the devoted members and clergy have steadfastly enriched the spiritual lives of Lake Forest residents and the broader community. And whereas in 1986, the Lake Forest Historic Preservation Foundation honored the church with a plaque for its historical significance, and it became a part of the rich history of African Americans in Lake Forest and Lake County by being the oldest Baptist church in Lake County and an integral part of Lake Forest by its faith and ecumenical spirit. And whereas we rejoice with the First Baptist Church as they celebrate with gratitude and grace, we urge the citizens across our community to join in the celebration and activities. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Lake Forest that the City Council, on behalf of all of the residents of the City of Lake Forest, congratulate and extend all good wishes to the clergy and members of the First Baptist Church on the joyful occasion of the 125th anniversary of the founding of the church. Be it further resolved that this resolution be appropriately inscribed and conveyed to the First Baptist Church and spread upon the permanent record of the Lake Forest City Council this 20th day of October 2025. May I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Pastor Fletcher.
Mayor, and to the council and to those that are here.
Just want to thank you all for taking this time and just showing us that not only that you are thinking of us, that you care. You know, there's a saying that goes that, you know, people don't know you care until you show you care. And, you know, with you all taking the time out like this and demonstrating, it just continues to encourage us to just continue to do what we've been doing. You know, I've been pastoring there for now 20 years, and you know, God has blessed us, but He has continued to bless us down throughout the years. And we count this as one of those blessings. You know, sometimes, you know, when people do acts of kindness, it's seeds that are sown. And although this is a joyous time, we also know that it's going to lead to a greater harvest time. So thank you for taking this time. And this is so important to us. And we're going to share this, you know, with the rest of the church about, you know, this moment. And again, we're going to just use this to encourage ourselves to continue to push forward. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a resolution of appreciation for retired Deputy Fire Chief Michael Gallo. I will read the correct resolution this time. And this is a resolution of appreciation for Michael A. Gallo. Whereas Michael A. Gallo has been a dedicated employee of the City of Lake Forest since August 29, 1994. And whereas Michael A. Gallo honorably retired from the city on September 12, 2025. And whereas Michael A. Gallo served in the following positions during his dedicated career: firefighter paramedic, lieutenant, battalion chief, division chief, and ultimately deputy chief. And whereas Michael A. Gallo was a member of the Lake and McHenry County Dive Team, board member of the Lake Forest Firefighters Association, and Fraternal Order of Firefighters, fire prevention inspector. And whereas Michael A. Gallo's genuine love of Lake Forest showed in his passion as a member of the department's public education programs. Whereas Michael A. Gallo oversaw the fire department accreditation by the Center for Public Safety Excellence in 2010 and 2015. Michael received several fire service certifications from the Office of the State Fire Marshal, including Chief Fire Officer. Michael was an active member of the Lake County Fire Chiefs Association and the Metropolitan Fire Chiefs Association of Illinois. In addition, Michael received numerous accommodations and letters of gratitude for outstanding service throughout his career. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Lake Forest that the Council, on behalf of the administration and residents of the community, hereby expresses its appreciation and gratitude to Michael A. Gallo for a public service faithfully performed. Be it further resolved that this resolution be appropriately inscribed and conveyed to Michael and spread upon the permanent record of the Lake Forest City Council on this 20th day of October 2025. May I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
I'll be quick. I know that's not usual for me, as most people could attest, but I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be a firefighter and represent the city of Lake Forest. Thank you for allowing me and us to come into your homes at your greatest times of need. Thank you for trusting me and all of us with the education of your children through our public education programs, and you guys through our Citizens Fire Academies. Thank you to the city staff here who made my job incredibly easy. I've called you guys out before, but thank you. The city staff works together so incredibly well. I say that over and over, and I just can't say it enough. But the way everybody comes together and egos are put aside, there actually are no egos anyway. It's all for the greater good of the city and, well, of the departments and ultimately the city. Thank you to my department for allowing me to represent them, for trusting me to keep you guys safe. That's not missed on me. Thank you for my family, for always being there to support me, so I was able to live out a boyhood dream. And lastly, to quote Lou Gehrig, I do consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. So thank you guys very much.
Very good. Before we move on to the next session, I'm going to give all of you an opportunity to leave. You're welcome to stay, but the rest of the meeting may be less interesting. All right, thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is comments by city manager. Manager Witcha.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of City Council. Good evening. Bear with me. I have a lengthier report than usual, but some important topics to touch upon. First, under my report, I want to begin this evening just by acknowledging the impact of the water main break and subsequent boil order that happened a little over a week ago. Recognizing the impacts that event had on our community, I thought it was important to provide a transparent update both to the council and to the general public about the event itself and staff's response to the crisis, I think both from an operational and a communications perspective. Before I turn it over to Mike Thomas, I do want to acknowledge the job that our staff did. Without question, the situation could have been far worse had staff not acted so decisively, and one of the unique opportunities being in my role is being able to see the peek behind the curtain in the war room, so to speak, and watching the staff respond in real time. There was clearly an urgency to the situation, but there was no panic amongst the staff, and I think the communication and collaboration across sections, across departments was just really wonderful to see. But having said that, going through emergency events like this are always, they always serve as an important learning opportunity for our organization, and we're taking advantage of this experience to really assess how we can refine and improve our approach for the next emergency or crisis that may occur, both again from an infrastructure maintenance perspective, but also from a crisis communications perspective. One of the things I know Director Olson will speak to is acknowledging perhaps some gaps in how we reach some of the more isolated older members of our community. So that's something we're spending time to look at. But I just want to be clear that while we don't have all of the answers tonight, we are going through a fairly extensive after-action review to really ask the questions of what went right, what could have gone better, what lessons can we learn from this experience, and what recommendations will we put in place for the next one. And so, again, we'll continue to have those conversations in the weeks ahead, and we'll share those findings accordingly with the council. But with that teed up, I'll turn it over to Director Thomas.
Great, thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm going to first start out and bring something to the front for everyone to see.
Don't hurt your back.
This is like Camden, movie vacation. That's Dana's blanket, by the way. We thought it would be good for all of you to get a good look at the two mains, the 14-inch, 12-inch that blew out. I'll leave it here while I talk. They're both cast iron. You can see the wear. You can see the break. So, to begin with, this starts back with a capital project we had budgeted for this fiscal year to do work on our water tower. To do that, we had to bring our water tower down and do some steel work inside and out. That meant we'd ride on Lake Bluff's water tower, their pressure, which we have done many, many times before. So, scheduled the work for the week of October 13th, 3 weeks. Everything was going great. We planned this with the Village of Lake Bluff. We met with them. We have 4 interconnects with them. We opened up 2 of them because demand was low. And we coordinate with meter reads and pressures and all of that. So Friday rolls around. We did this Thursday. Friday rolls around. We all of a sudden saw a big pressure drop at 3 o'clock. One of our garbage employees at 3:10 found the break, called us. So we were able to isolate the break at about 4:25 in the afternoon, valve off the repair, basically valve off the break. We then decided to scrap this project and not do it till the spring because we had to open up our water tower. We needed to get that volume back in. So at 5:45, we opened up the altitude valve at the water tower. We opened up our interconnects, or excuse me, closed them at 6:20. When we do this, we do all of this very slowly. If we do it fast, we're gonna have breaks everywhere. So everything takes a good amount of time to get through. The main break then was repaired. We had it back in service at about 10:30, 11 o'clock that night. Anytime we drop below 20 PSI in our water main, we need to contact IEPA. So pressures dropped way below, especially out west, below 20 PSI. Contacted IEPA. They told us obviously a mandatory boil order and that we had to collect 20 samples. We collected 20 samples throughout town, brought them to Highland Park, which is a certified IEPA lab. Those then go into an incubator, sodium hypochlorite in our water. It fights against that, and that's what we want to see is no bacteria growth. So it's a 24-hour period. Boil order notification, Dana and her team sent that out then at 5 o'clock that afternoon. So Saturday rolls around and we're waiting for 11 p.m. to hopefully lift the boil order. I got a call at about 8 o'clock at night from our assistant Jim and Mike down at the plant that we had lost about 6 feet in our water tower. We had built it up to about an elevation of 34 feet, which maximum is 42, so we were at a good elevation. We're having no problems. But at 7:15 or so, they began to drop, and we got down to 28 feet. So that told us there was another large water main break somewhere, the 12-inch. We brought our streets guys, our water sewer guys in, our water plant guys, myself and all the guys in PW admin came in. I called our chief, John Burke, asked him for his assistance with all of his police officers for eyes and ears to try and find this main break. Brian Mickelvick, our assistant water sewer supervisor, he found it at about 10 o'clock across from Route 60. He was actually driving on Academy, had his windows down, he smelled the chlorine. So he knew where the transmission mains were in the area. He found it because we started off with a relatively full water tower and we were only down at that point maybe to 26, 27 feet. We valved the break off and we decided not to fix the break until Monday. These guys were in late Friday, they were in late Saturday. Didn't know if anything was gonna happen on Sunday. Everything was building back up, so we decided to go ahead and fix it early the following week. Good thing at 11 p.m. we received a phone call from Highland Park, no bacteria found. Because though it was 11 o'clock and we wanted to make sure our pressures were fine throughout town, again, if we get down to 20, the boil order continues. We kept the boil order on until the following morning, 6 a.m. That's when we officially lifted the boil order. And again, we fixed the main break on Monday and Tuesday. It was a much more difficult, the 12 was a lot more difficult to fix. It was right off of Route 60, but there was a large dip where we had a hard time getting our equipment into. So the possible reasons. We went back and looked at multiple things, and we're still debriefing. We still are going to be meeting on this a lot moving forward. Since August, we've had some ComEd drops for power coming into the plant. We're getting 480, it'll drop to 460. When that happens, our high lift pumps will shut off and the valves will close. And then when we get 480 back in 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, those pumps open back up. That causes one significant water hammer. That's the term we use, which is simply water that's moving forward, backwards. That's what causes these blowouts. When we have a blowout on a water main, a hole, it's simply because we've had these pressure spikes and the pipe has finally just given away. The age of the pipe as well. These two pipes are cast iron. The 12 inches from 1948, 14 inches from 1949. So over time, when you have the freeze thaw, when you go from 2 million gallons in February up to 11 million gallons in August, and you have these pump and pressure surges, that wears out these pipes. Whether it's cast, ductile, it doesn't matter. That's how these pipes wear out over time. If we were in a city where there was no freeze or thaw, and we were simply at a 6 million or pick whatever rate where we didn't have to do pump changes, and we're at a simple flat rate for 365 days a year, these pipes would last a lot longer. But the movement of the ground in the winter, these pressure surges, et cetera, and also the soils. There are soils around town that we refer to as, quote, acidic, that'll eat away at these pipes more than other areas. As I noted Friday, we didn't have water in that water tower, and that's why we lost it, because we're planning on the project. We had to have the water tower empty. Saturday, we didn't, because we had enough water in the water tower. So moving forward, this project still needs to occur. We're gonna do it next spring. Village of Lake Bluff has to do the same thing to theirs next spring or summer, and we've got to pick a time mutually where the work can get done, the Tnemec paint can dry effectively, but we don't have high demand, neither town. So that could be April, could be October, but we'll work with them as we move forward. So moving forward, what are we as staff going to be recommending to yourselves that we follow up and pursue on? Some new technology that our Superintendent of Engineering, Byron Coots, learned at APWA this fall, vibroacoustic evaluation, which is very similar to IMS on our roadways, where we will evaluate what we call the BAM, the binder, and the surface layer of a roadway, of a parking lot. This is the same type of thing, where they can do an analysis on our transmission mains and let us know how bad certain pipes are. So we're gonna work on getting a proposal. We're gonna look at our transmission mains, look at the ages, look at the number of main breaks and say, let's do this one, let's do this one, let's do this one. And we'll include that in next fiscal year's water fund capital request. Number two, we're gonna meet with ComEd. I'd like to bring our water plant engineer in, Strand Associates out of Madison. We'll bring them down. We're gonna ask them to bring down some electrical engineers and bring ComEd in at the same time and simply say, what can we do to this plant to protect it from spikes or dips in the power? There's gotta be something, because if these things continue to happen, we're gonna continue to have water hammers and we'll have these type of main breaks. We also want to do a very thorough evaluation on the Wesley Road booster station and this 14-inch water main between Ridge and Waukegan Road. So we're gonna work on getting a proposal for that. Finally, we're going to continue to debrief. We've done some internally with our staff. We're going to continue to do more. We've got some things that we still need to go over with water plant and water sewer. Jason as well has got a whole litany of questions that he's got for us to go through. We're going to work with some of the executive staff as well on that. So we are doing our due diligence to really push ourselves to say why and what can we do to try and make sure this never happens again. With that, Dana's going to provide you some information on how she presented the boil order and some of the communication tools.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of City Council. While Director Thomas's team was working on the operational aspects of the water main break, the communications team was working to get the word out about the main break and the subsequent boil order across all of our channels. So the first boil order notice was issued on Friday afternoon, and we shared that across all of our platforms. On Saturday morning, we issued an update that we shared again across all of our platforms to give people an update on the status and mention that the boil order was continuing. And then we, as Director Thomas mentioned, issued that the boil order had been lifted on Sunday morning at 6 a.m. And so these are just a couple of ways that we put the information out there. And I just want to thank our community partners who helped get the word out as well. We shared it across all of our digital platforms, but our partners at the Lake Forest Chamber and Lake Forest Schools sent out email notices to their membership as well as other organizations within the community to help us reach a wider group. So we'll look at the numbers with we primarily shared information on all of our digital channels, and the positive side of that is we have the data for how many people looked at them and saw them. And so the city's website, we had a news story and also an alert pop-up that showed up on the homepage about the boil order, and within the first 36 hours, we had over 13,000 views. And we sent out an email newsletter Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and the open rates for those were mid to high 60s, which is a pretty good open rate. On social media, on Facebook, our first post was the most popular with around 36,000 views and 97 comments. We were trying to respond as quickly as possible to the comments that people were sending us via message or commenting on posts on social. And another important metric to highlight is the shares. So when we post something on social, the people who follow the city see those notifications, but the number of shares, we had 203 on Instagram for that initial post and 75 on Facebook. That helps us to reach a wider audience. That's people sharing it in their homeowners association group, in their mom's group, and things like that. Another tool we used was Smart 911, which is an emergency notification tool tied to Glenview Dispatch. And through that platform, we can send text, email, and phone calls. And for the first notice, we sent it out to around 1,000 subscribers. We learned from this experience. We initially had sent it out to app users as well, and when you do that, it geolocates, so it only went to people who were within city limits at that time, and so we learned from that, and with the next notification, we sent it out to everybody who had signed up, which at the time was around 4,400 people, or subscribers. And then we included information about signing up for Smart 911 in all of our boil order notifications, and since have included it in social posts and in our email newsletter. And our subscriber rate is just over 5,000, close to 5,100, and we're gonna keep working to grow that. We also sent out notifications through the Lake Forest Now app and shared information with the media who helped us expand our reach again. We had coverage on the nightly news and other news updates from NBC, ABC, WGN, and other online outlets. And so as we reflect on what happened with the way we responded, we identified a gap, as City Manager Wisha mentioned, with older adults who aren't online. And so while Smart 911 armed with what's happening with the city, we're exploring potentially an insert in water utility bills. We're definitely going to put something in the next dialogue newsletter, but also looking at just a standalone postcard. It's worth it to get that out to people while this is fresh in their minds, and hopefully encourage people to sign up for Smart 911. Because the way that platform works, we can't just opt people in. They need to decide to register and put in their information themselves. So we're continuing to promote Smart 911, partnering with Dickinson Hall Senior Center. Their email newsletter that went out this morning had a spotlight on Smart 911, and their staff has agreed to help people register as well as members are coming for different activities. And we're also looking into, since all of our residents register for a vehicle sticker, including an option for people to opt in for Smart 911 as part of that process so that we can automatically sign them up and expand our reach again. Another opportunity area, we realized that we heard from some residents of multifamily units that they didn't get the word about the boil order. So Lake Forest Place, Crystal Point, and a few others. So we're working to update our stakeholder list to make sure we have contacts and the right people to send that information to so that it can be disseminated appropriately. And then also we're exploring some alternate technology options. We're using Smart 911 now. It doesn't have the ability to just automatically send messages to people unless they sign up, and so we're looking into seeing if there might be some other technology out there. And as we continue, as Director Thomas said, we're evaluating how our communications worked. We have a survey out right now asking people how they heard about it, what we could do better next time. We have just over 100 responses to that, but we'll continue to refine and make sure that we're reaching the widest audience. And with that, Director Thomas and I would be happy to take any questions.
Alderman Novin.
Hi, have you thought about reaching out to the churches? Maybe they have mailing lists that don't overlap with others?
That's an excellent idea, Nancy.
Thanks.
Okay. Alderman Baufeld.
Hi, Dana. Do you have the ability to put a message on the voicemail to Public Works when people call in?
That's something that we're exploring as well. If the ability to change the voicemail, so if somebody were to call the city and get the phone tree,
Yeah.
to update that message. I know some staff updated their voicemails. Sarah in utility billing had updated her voicemail because she was getting a lot of calls, but something that if there were another as people reach out, they get it right away.
Yeah, I heard from some people that they called in and said, sorry, Public Works is closed. Please call again on Monday. And clearly, you guys were all over it. And so if that message had been emergency, we know what's going on, check this other social media, whatever, it would have probably gone a long way to help them.
Yeah,
Because
they
had no idea. They were all like, what's going on around here?
And again, this has been an opportunity for us
Yeah.
to identify some gaps, and
Good,
we're
good.
trying to address those, and that's a wonderful idea.
Alderman Weber.
First and foremost, thank you to all of your teams and everyone who contributed to the success of this being such a quick fix. Some of the comments that I heard were in regards to some of the businesses who frankly just aren't educated to what a boil order is. I mean, this is so rare for our community that I think that was just the education piece about what can you do, what can't you do. For example, like salons, well, can we wash their hair? And it was, do I need to call everybody? And of course it was 5 o'clock on Friday. I mean, just a challenging time all around. So if there are other avenues, businesses, some sort of a business list, or we can follow up with each one and get a, owner contact or manager contact or something. The Smart 911, I mean, ideally, if we can get everybody on that, I had, of course, being on council, but I mean, I counted probably 15 different or 20 different ways I was getting all these messages. So, we were advocates in sending it out, but I was thinking that, you just mentioned churches, that was great. Or the other thing was even like some clubs, like whether it's a winter club or golf club or country club, and have them send out to their membership. Just one other touch point for people.
Yeah, those are all great ideas that we will explore.
Are there questions or comments? I have a question for Mr. Thomas. Can you tell me how many staff members were involved in the response to this situation, and how many hours a day did our staff apply to this particular problem?
In total, on both evenings, about 30 on each evening. If we had police in, then we're up to 35, 38. Hour-wise, we started at 3 o'clock, and the water sewer guys wrapped up Friday night at 11. So they were in at 6:30 in the morning. They finished 11 that night. And then Saturday night, we all came in at about 8 o'clock, and most of us were gone by 10 or 11. Grand total hours, I've not calculated when I add up all those guys and the hours they've been there, but there was a lot, and that's why when I saw that after Friday night and Saturday night, these guys couldn't see straight. They were tired, and we were fine with our pressures. We were fine with the elevated tank to valve that 12-inch off and get the repair done on Monday, Tuesday.
And who's included in the pool that you reach out to when you have an emergency like this? Like, everybody sort of assumes that the water and sewer guys are doing it, but who else is in?
Yeah. So with the Department of Public Works, for educational purposes for people watching at home, we have operational sections, and we'll call in the appropriate ones that we need. In this case, it was streets, it was water, sewer, engineering, water plant, PW admin. If we needed to bring in additional people, like building maintenance, we were close to bringing them in as well, we would. But then, again, community development kept a couple of their administrative assistants late, finance did as well, police helped us. As Deputy Chief Gallo said, all of this stuff is 100% team, period. None of this stuff happens with just one department. It all happens because we've got a strong team, and a lot of people that care. So when we got that call Saturday night, we didn't want to go through this again. And so it was, let's get as many guys out there. And if we weren't finding it, we would have called our parks, our forestry guys, our building maintenance guys, because we needed eyes and ears to find that 12-inch to valve it off to basically stop the bleeding. We were lucky that we found it relatively quickly.
Yes, Alderman Notes.
Well, Mike, certainly from my perspective, sitting on council, I have to compliment you, Dana, and Jason, everyone on staff for really doing a phenomenal job, certainly keeping us informed and getting that message out as best as we can with the facilities we have to get that word out to the community. And we certainly deeply appreciate the unsung heroes that were handling digging the trenches and working till 11 o'clock and later at night. So please convey that to everybody on your staffs.
We will.
The appreciation we have for that. The second question I wanted to ask was, we've looked at these sensors to go across our water main system. How much would that have, if we had those sensors in place now as we are planning, how much quicker would that have enabled us to respond to pinpointing where the issues?
So here's the story. We had 4 pressure sensors that are analog that are on our phone lines. We had 9 additional ones that were installed a year and a half ago that are on the internet. We had a major fiber break, if you remember, a week or 2 ago previously, and that fiber break impacted the internet at the water plant. So it was a perfect storm. Luckily on Friday, we found it right away. Saturday night, we could have found that probably within less than 10 minutes, probably in 5 minutes, because we've got a pressure sensor over at Town Line Park right in front of the pond. This was just east of the compost center entrance, and that would have told us, that pressure sensor would have told us that we had a significant drop right there. So it's a wonderful investment, and it's been working since we put them in. We haven't had any problems. It was a perfect storm where the internet was down, and we were not getting those readings back to the water plant. The internet is back up, and in fact, I think we're going to look at it adding some more throughout town, because it's really, it's a very smart investment that to help us try and find where these leaks are, so we don't go through this again.
And I'll just add to that point too, as we talk about lessons learned, we've have a lot of redundancies built in at the treatment plant for like the water operating system itself, but this was a good lesson learned for the new pressure sensor system about the need to build in some additional redundancies. So again, we'll learn from that. I know George and our IT staff are already looking at that, but again, something that we expect we'll be able to avoid in the future.
Alderman Powers.
Thanks again, Mike and Dana. Great work, and please pass it on to your extended teams. I think it's just another great illustration of how well everybody works together. Mike, I had one question. Last January, we had a break at Wesley and Waukegan-ish. Was that very similar to this? Just
Same
because of
pipe.
the same circumstance?
Same pipe,
Okay.
west of the, yes, just west of the creek.
Yeah.
We've had 5 breaks on this 14-inch, and it's a transmission main that actually comes down Western, picks up at Wesley, it goes all the way out to Wesley, feeds the booster station. That booster station then feeds the water tower, and it feeds primarily the 4th Ward. But yes, the same pipe and worn out pipe.
Yeah, so based upon the condition of the age,
Correct.
it's great.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
One more brief question. So on our sewers, we have a program where we basically do an endoscopy and line them from the interior. Is that any sort of an option, particularly for these older? I realize the pressures are different, but is that something that's done on, obviously, that line, looking at it, probably like my coronary arteries, it's, you have to assume the rest of it is at risk of this.
Right, yes. So you are correct. We line storm sewers and sanitary sewers. There is a 20-inch concrete water main that goes out 60. That pipe has been lined. We will look into, I believe there is technology to line water main. And the reason I say that is we had a break over on Old Elm, just west of 41, and it was way too close to the railroad right away. And we contacted a firm, I think down in Elk Grove, that came and they lined that pipe. So we will, that's a very good point. We'll add that into our, let's look into and see if that potentially could be a more cost-effective solution, assuming the integrity of that pipe still exists for a liner.
And I'll remind the council, we, as part of our capital planning process, review water rates at the November capital workshop, have preliminary discussions. I believe we usually come back in January with final recommendations. I don't know how much can realistically be done in the matter of the next few weeks, but certainly events like this highlight the need to ensure our analysis is up to date on our water rate structure, how much is allocated towards capital versus operating costs. Are we investing enough in our infrastructure? I think, as Director Thomas said, focusing on the transmission mains within our system and network make the most sense, because they're the ones that have the possibility of a catastrophic break like this. The smaller distribution mains that run down our residential neighborhoods, those things have breaks periodically, and we fix them, but they don't otherwise jeopardize the entire water system. So more to come on that in the coming weeks and months for additional consideration for the council.
Perfect. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, I don't think either will be going too far, but we can wheel that out of the way. For my second item under my report, I'm pleased to, I'll be introducing various members of our city's leadership team to provide a recap of efforts associated with the city's strategic plan. And it's really an opportune time for us to look at this, because we just passed the 1-year phase from the adoption of the city strategic plan. And I really wanted to take an opportunity to highlight that tonight, because I do think the successes that we're able to talk about tonight, more than anything, demonstrate what is, I think, a long-term and historic hallmark of Lake Forest city government, which is really a commitment from the city's elected leadership to engage in meaningful long-term planning. A lot of times that is, community-driven with a lot of community input. And then we really adhere to those long-term planning documents to drive decision-making, resource allocation. And again, it seems simple enough to say in concept, but I think we all see so many examples where at all levels of government, other units of government make decisions based on short-term time horizons, short-term political expediency and are maybe not thinking about the long-term impacts of that. And so I think being able to demonstrate and remind the community that virtually everything staff has worked on over the last year, items that you guys consider at council meetings, these all tie back to the goals and priorities that you established a year ago, is just a good reminder for the community. And so happy to share some of those stories. I will just remind the council before I turn it over to staff, that is year one of a 5-year strategic plan. So of course, there are goals that remain unrealized throughout the plan, and there's some that will continue to refine and be a work in progress, and we may never fully achieve whatever the goal may be, but we continue to work towards it. So moving forward, I would expect we'll do this on an annual basis, just to update the council and the community on all that's happened to further, again, those goals and priorities that have been identified. And so with that, I'll turn it back over to our Director of Communications, Dana Olson.
Good evening again, Honorable Mayor and members of City Council. As City Manager Wisha mentioned, there's a lot of public feedback that went into the strategic plan process and City Council feedback as well. So just wanted to start off tonight with a reminder of everything that went into the development of the plan. We have our funnel graphic here, starting with a community-wide survey, several in-person and online engagement opportunities. We shared our preliminary ideas with the community to gather their feedback on those, further refine the plan, and then finalize the plan. The City Council approved the plan last October. And as City Manager Wisha mentioned, since this plan touches every department within the city, instead of having one person come up here and present on it, we've invited different department heads to come and speak to the different priorities. And so first, I'd like to invite up Director of Finance, Katie Skibby, to speak about fiscal stewardship.
All right, fiscal stewardship is a core part of the city's operations. It's reflected in how we manage both our operating budget and our long-term capital investment strategy to stay balanced and sustainable. One of the objectives in the fiscal stewardship section of the strategic plan is to continually explore ways to improve the cost effectiveness and efficiency of city programs, activities, and services. In the past year, the several initiatives have delivered meaningful savings, including the recycling processing fee savings of more than $100,000 annually by switching processing companies, a new intergovernmental agreement with Lake Bluff, which generated an additional $100,000 in revenue. The city also changed its health insurance plan to a risk-pooled program with the Intergovernmental Personnel Benefit Cooperative, which resulted in service improvements for employees and is projected to save the city $360,000. The North Shore Electricity Aggregation Consortium Agreement was also recently extended, which involved increasing annual revenues from $60,000 to $90,000 to support environmental sustainability initiatives. The city also pursues grant opportunities to help offset the cost of operations and to fund capital projects. Since October 2024, we've successfully secured grants supporting several key initiatives, including the Lake Woodbine Bridge replacement. The grant totaled $3.68 million, the McClory Bike Path repaving, and police department initiatives, including new equipment and a grant focused on employee retention. These grants help us stretch local dollars further while continuing to invest in essential infrastructure and public safety. Now I'll turn it over to Public Works Director Michael Thomas, who will share an update on infrastructure and city facilities.
Thank you, Katie. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, infrastructure and city facilities. And I think this is one topic of many items that the city has historically done very well and continues to do very well in that it recognizes it is responsible and owns numerous assets, underground, above ground, equipment, buildings, et cetera, and we really focus our time on allocating capital dollars annually to each of those areas. So with infrastructure, We recently completed the Awani Road storm sewer. That's the picture you see on the right. Project turned out great. It took a little bit longer. We had to do a road reconstruct at the end, but that's the picture of that one. We, in doing our capital planning, always will do analyses and designs up front to make sure we are really hitting the core of the issue and get a solid budget number. So we continue to do that as the years progress. As I mentioned, Awani, but then we've got coming up next year, next calendar year, the intersection at Wesley and Waukegan. We're going to be installing turn lanes to turn as you're heading southbound on Waukegan, turn east on to Wesley, and if you're heading northbound and you need to turn left into West Campus, those turn lanes. That was a grant that we were able to secure. State bid opening for that is mid-January. We are hoping to start as soon as possible, March. Our goal is to try and get that project wrapped up by the end of July, if we can, before the kids start coming back and heading out to West Campus for sports. To continue with the infrastructure and city facilities, the new water meters, we've obviously discussed that with yourselves for a number of years now. We are now into our first phase of installing those meters, and so far, so good. We're going to continue. Residents will receive letters over the next 5 years or so because we're going to slowly bring these things out so our future replacement is not bogged into 1 year. Final item, cardiograph work order system. So a work order system for all of our operating sections. Takes time to build it. We've got our water and sewer section built and working great. We've got all of our snow operations, which allows us to provide any detailed response to how much time, how much salt, straight time, overtime, how many miles, how much fuel, everything. So we're currently building that with our other operating sections. Forestry is up next. And with that, I will pass it to Andy Rick to talk about, and Kevin Zelt to talk about public safety.
Thank you, Director Thomas. So one of the objectives with the public safety is to provide safe environments through efficient and effective fire, rescue, and EMS services. A few of the ways that we've been working towards that with the fire services continue to support our fire officers with national incident management courses, strengthening leadership and emergency responses within our town. We completed active shooter incident management and school safety trainings with our partner agencies to improve the coordination and emergency response during critical school incidents. We regularly conduct joint training exercises with our police, fire, and EMS, and as well as other agencies and partners in the communities to make sure that we're ready to respond together whenever something's needed. Over the summer, we've led training sessions at the beach and lakefront for the staff there to help them prepare for their seasonal operations. Most recently, we're starting to implement something called ImageTrend, which is a new electronic patient care reporting system. It helps us to improve our efficiency with our hospital reporting and helps us better track and analyze our medical data. We also have hosted our Citizens Fire Academy, giving residents a closer look at the fire operations. We continue to visit classrooms and take part in annual school fire drills. We share fire safety tips with students and the community. And I actually didn't put this in the slides, but I just remember we had our open house over the weekend. So add that to the list. So now I'm going to have Deputy Police Chief Kevin Zelt come up and speak about the police department's efforts.
Thank you, Chief Rick. Good evening. The police department has several objectives within the strategic plan that I'm happy to report on for you and the progress that we've made within the last year. We've continued the police department's focus on community engagement. Every spring and fall, we host our Citizens Police Academy, which gives an opportunity for 15 to 20 residents each session to learn all about the operations of our police department. This continues to be one of the best programs that we run, and I would strongly encourage everybody that hasn't had the opportunity to do it yet to please sign up. We also hold quarterly safety presentations at Dickinson Hall to address common scams that we routinely see with that population. And we've offered sessions with parents groups to share online safety tips in order to help their children navigate the online world. We're also expanding our social services programs. Our police social worker, Lauren Perez, added a comfort dog to help support residents during mental health related calls. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Winston. He's quickly becoming the most popular member of the police department. We're also continuing to grow our partnerships and use our crisis intervention programs to better connect people with the help that they truly need. And finally, we've launched a new car seat installation program. This, coupled with our sustained traffic enforcement campaigns, will make sure that residents are safe on the roads, especially families with the youngest passengers. Another objective within the public safety is related to updating our headquarters facilities for both the police and fire departments to make sure that they meet current and future needs of the community. It's a subject that we've all been talking about a lot lately. We've made great progress. 2 weeks ago, we did have the City Council approve construction bids for renovation of a new police facility. Construction is beginning soon. I'm very, very hopeful, and we expect to have that construction completed by this time next fall. With that, I'll invite Chief Rick back up here to talk a little bit about the fire facility.
Yeah, so as we've continued to update, once the police department relocates to the new facility, we're going to be renovating the existing PSB. That facility is going to be a fire department only facility. We've designed, with the design underway, we're expected to be completed sometime next summer. We definitely have a few updates over the next couple of weeks. We're excited to start sharing as that's taking shape. The goal is to start construction as soon as possible once the police department has officially left. And then once they're in that new building, it's our turn to take center stage and obviously provide a lot more information about that at that point. We'd like to invite Director of Parks and Recreation, Mike Wick, up to talk about the recreation and community well-being.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to provide a quick update on the recreation and community well-being component of the strategic plan. This past summer, we were able to have a couple new offerings. We started summer camp a week earlier. The week that traditionally the school would let out and the rec programs would start, we moved into that week. We had really good success there. We learned a lot. It's something we'll look to expand on in the next year. We also added in a Last Hurrah camp, which was in response to the school starting a week later. So we tried to fill that gap with some alternative options for the community through a summer camp standpoint. In the summer season, we had 2,700 registrants for our programs. That's predominantly camp. It's a 3.5% increase from last year. Of those 2,700, 1,500 roughly are unique participants, and it's around 1,000 families. So from an impact standpoint, I'm really proud of the team. We had a great summer. And from a Croya standpoint, 12,000 touch points, 3,000 of those are drop-in after schools touch points. The other 9,000 are program-based registrations. So each time their staff are interacting with the student, be it at our site or at the high school site, that counts in that. Again, tremendously successful. And then our Dickinson Hall Senior Center, on track for 1,100 members. As of Monday, we had 913, 914. So a 10% increase over past years. It would be a new high water mark since COVID. So they're doing tremendous work out there. And the last program I'd like to highlight from this standpoint is our youth tackle football program. Participation grew 22% this year. Not only are they having success on the field and off the field, but people are liking the program. They're enjoying the experience, that they're continuing to come out. That's in addition to another 180 kids that we have in our flag program. And another 48 that are playing 7-on-7. So football in the community is really strong. In addition to that, one of the things I'm probably most excited about is the youth cheerleading program. We didn't have a program last year, a brand new program this year in response to the community saying this is something we think we'd be interested in. Well, 141 participants this fall would tell me they are very interested in it, and it has been a tremendous success this fall. So we're very, very proud and very excited about how that's gone. On the park standpoint, the Forest Park Beach Pathway Project, ribbon cutting last October was a great event. We operated with that wonderful asset this summer. The community really appreciated it. We had a lot of positive feedback from people that used it, and a lot of wow factors from guests that either didn't know it was there or were viewing it for the first time. It's a tremendous asset for our community. As far as from a beach playground standpoint, we're fingers crossed, we're almost complete with that project. It looks great. It's going to be a great asset to the community. I can't wait to cut the ribbon and have the first climb on it that I have reserved for myself. All jokes aside, though, we do have, the beach project's been great. A huge tip of the cap to Corey and his team. And then we do have a couple partnerships, one with Swalco, where we have a textile recycling box on the south end of the parking lot at the rec center. If you have opportunity to use that, you have extra things you don't need, that's a great spot to donate them. And it has been getting a lot of use. We've had to have it emptied a number of times, which is a great thing. And then curbside composting, just another great option for our community in the well-being standpoint. So, excuse me. So with that, I'll turn it over to Director of Community Development, Kathy Zerniak.
Thanks, Mike.
As you've already heard tonight with some of the earlier presentations, all of this is intrinsically linked. Certainly from the community character, development, and vitality of our business districts and office district. None of that happens unless we have the excellent financial stewardship, great financial position that this community is in, excellent maintenance of our infrastructure and continued upgrades, parks programs, parks facilities, and certainly public safety. We would not be in the position we're in this community without all of that, which then leads to the ability for this community to sustain its community character, visual character, quality of life. Boards and commissions continue to meet. In the 12 months since this plan was adopted, the boards and commissions have seen 88 petitions. As you know, sometimes the process is not pretty. It's difficult, but in every case, the boards and commissions, the volunteers from our community work extraordinarily well to help our residents, architects, contractors, to move through the process and to reach their goals with a successful project. Sometimes it takes longer than they'd like. Building permit activity remains strong. Again, a direct link to all of those other areas. In the last 12 months, we've processed 3,949 building permits, residential and commercial. Nuisance properties we continue to pursue on a complaint basis. Some of you are aware of a couple of high-profile ongoing nuisances. We have been before the administrative hearings official a number of times trying to resolve those. We had one of our longtime code enforcement issues take a great leap forward in the last couple weeks. Not necessarily the one you're thinking of, Alderman Notes, but thanks to the police department for joining with us. We really made progress on a particular code enforcement issue. We continue to work with our community partners, whether it's Gorton, Elowa, the Winter Club, to try and assure that those unique uses fit into our neighborhoods, provide the unique benefit, but balance the interests of various parties. Obviously, Deer Path Construction is nearing its end, supporting our businesses. The Bank Lane, the first phase of the Bank Lane project, which came out of the working group led by the mayor prior to him becoming mayor. The Bank Lane project really looked at a long-term plan for enhancing the Bank Lane as a pedestrian corridor from Vine all the way to Wisconsin. We'll soon see the results of the first block and be able to evaluate what's worked well, where can we improve, and what should really happen on those other blocks. Because of the success of recent restaurant activity, we've had a number of parking complaints about congestion on the streets in the evening, availability of parking near restaurants, valet. So good problem to have, but at the direction of the city manager, there is a parking evaluation underway led by our assistant to the city manager, Carrie Kopp. We continue to have activities in Westlake Forest trying to promote that area. Our Fourth Ward aldermen had their coffee at the Westlake Forest train station. We do have the winter market coming up, which is in probably the fourth or fifth year continues to be a lot of interest. The Chamber of Commerce also has some activities there. I mentioned restaurants, many new restaurants over the last 5 years, continued interest. The challenge now is to find locations with suitable buildings that can be adapted for restaurants, as well as address the parking needs. So that will be a conversation that will be continuing. The hospital will be opening first quarter of 2026. You all will be hearing a presentation from the president of the hospital, Seamus Collins. But all of these activities, again, are intrinsically linked, and they really are because of the leadership that the elected officials provide, our appointed officials, boards and commissions, and the community, which community participation is involved in all of these aspects. And that is my segue to have Dana come back up. Thank you.
Community engagement was included as a priority area in this most recent strategic plan. Many of the other priorities had been in previous iterations, and this was a new one to be called out separately. One of the objectives within the community engagement priority area was to increase the usefulness and accessibility of the platforms that we use. And so in the community-wide survey that helped inform the whole strategic plan process, people indicated the website was one of the most common places they went for news and information. And so earlier this year, we completed a comprehensive website redesign to make the city's website more user-friendly and make it easier to find the information you're looking for. Another tool that we have is the Recreation Seasonal Program Guide. During COVID, we moved towards a more condensed version of the program guide that didn't have as much information about the programs. Based on community feedback this fall, we launched an expanded program guide that has all of the information for the different programs to remove barriers, make it easier for people to see and circle what they want and sign up for different classes, events, and activities. And we're continuing to print expanded program guides moving forward. And then an ongoing process is continuing to evaluate and tailor our communication channels to reach all of the different audiences within the city, as we spoke about earlier with the Boyle Order. Also within community engagement, one of the objectives is to enhance access to opportunities to engage. And so that's something we take very seriously. And when we have a different project or initiative, we try to both have an in-person component and an online opportunity for people who may not be able to attend an in-person meeting. And over the course of the year, we've engaged with thousands of residents through our pulse surveys, through events and community meetings. As Director Zerniak mentioned, the Central Business District parking evaluation underway. That survey recently had 900 responses, which will help shape the plan for parking in the Central Business District. And then Director Wick mentioned the beach playground. That design was selected based on feedback from over 570 residents who chimed in, and we really did modify the design based on what we heard. And so community engagement continues to be an important way we can hear from our residents on the decisions that impact them. And that was a quick summary of some of the things that are outlined in our Strategic Plan Year 1 update. You can find that on the city's website, either at cityoflakeforest.com/strategicplan or by scanning the QR code on the slide here. And with that, we would all be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Questions for any of the folks? Alderman Weber.
Good evening. It's actually just more of a comment, but as I hear all of you report out to us and share the successes of the different, all of the different areas from the strategic plan, when I think about it and I think about community buy-in into these projects and learning, there's a combination of education and communication, and I think all of the departments have done an exceedingly great job. So I just wanted to say thank you, that it's amazing to be a part of this community, and sitting here in this role, I've seen just huge improvements, and our community can only go up from here.
Other comments or questions? All right, well, listen, that was a spectacular presentation, very detailed, but I think that community as a whole should look at this and really have some appreciation for all of the work and accomplishments that you all have achieved. So thank you.
Thank you, and Mayor and members of City Council, again, appreciate your leadership. And from a staff perspective, having clarity in goals and direction makes our job a lot easier. And so it's great when we're all aligned towards a common mission. And thank you for bearing with us. I know this is certainly a long report by my standards. The last item under my report, I'm pleased to introduce for the last time our engineering superintendent, Byron Coots, to provide his monthly update on the Deer Path Streetscape project. Byron?
Good evening. You took my joke there, Jason. So good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of City Council. So this is the last update. I think it's been 6 or 7, but hopefully I'll be back with different presentations. So we're wrapping up Deer Path and Bank Lane in the next couple of weeks, which I know if you walk outside right now, you probably look at it and say, hey, there's a lot still to do. And there is a lot still to do. But tonight I will kind of walk you through where we're at and kind of assure you with what our schedule is. So we're going to start with the monthly video here. Let's see here. Here we go. Bank Lane, looking to the north. This is working on the crosswalks. They pour the concrete on the sides first, the concrete bands for the bricks, or for the bricks to fit in between. Pulling some lighting cable. Overall view. Bank Lane, they're working on the masonry walls. Pouring concrete for the crosswalks. Some landscaping in the background. More landscaping. And then an overall view looking to the west. So a lot of work has been going on the last month. I'm going to detail some of that here, talking about Deer Path. So the completion of the decorative crosswalks, we're very close to those being done. So they poured all but one of the remaining crosswalks. They pour the concrete bands on the outside. They do that first. So those were poured, and they'll be starting to place the bricks tomorrow and probably finish those in the next day or two. The masonry walls are being, the bricks are going on those. So on Bank Lane, they're working on one of those, and they'll move to the remaining masonry wall on Deer Path by Rosati's probably later this week. Light fixtures have started to go up. Basically this half, or this block right here is done. It looks really good. It's matching that look, the fixture look that we're all used to here in town. So those will hopefully be completed sometime in the next week. Installation of street furniture is going to begin. You've probably seen benches out. There was one just sitting in the middle of the street, and the resident was just sitting there happy, and I was like, okay. But those will eventually go onto the sidewalk. And I'm going to mention this a little bit later, but similar to the boardwalk last year, this is about the time where we kind of brought in our city forces the last week or two to kind of help us cross the finish line. So you'll be seeing city forces probably starting this weekend, installing the benches, just because we know exactly where those need to go and how we want them mounted. Same with trash cans and some other street furniture. So you'll see that over the weekend. Street signs have started to go up as well, and that'll continue to next week. Some of the bigger work going on in the next week is paving. The remaining paving is going to start. So there's really 2 paving operations going on. There's 2 different contractors. The first is going to start tomorrow, paving the adjacent streets. Well, actually, they're going to start grinding tomorrow. So if you remember, you know, at the beginning of the project, whenever we awarded construction, we had an agreement for what we call the Gandhi lot to basically utilize that lot for access to Bank Lane. In order to do that, we were going to resurface that lot. So we're starting the grinding for that tomorrow. And then into Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to grind Oakwood from Deer Path down to Illinois. We're going to grind and pave Forest from Deer Path to Southgate, and then Southgate from Forest to Bank Lane. So that'll be starting tomorrow with grinding, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, paving and striping. And then the other contractor, the one that's hired by the contractor for Deer Path, they're going to start, it says the week of October 27th, but we actually believe it's supposed to be this Friday. So they're going to start prepping. They're going to basically do some, I'm going to call it patching on the sides. And then the following Monday, they'll be in to do some remaining preparation work, and then they'll pave that Tuesday. We are tracking some rain in the forecast the next week. The Public Works Director loves forwarding those weather forecasts, so I'm getting those all the time. But there is some rain early next week. We are tracking it. I do think we're at the point where we can work around it, but we'll keep a good eye on it to try to avoid it affecting the schedule. In terms of business applications for the grants, I think, is it up to 9 now? I had 8, but it's kind of blurry. I think, it's up to 9. Okay, so we're up to 9 on that. So that's been some movement from last time where I believe it was only 5. Going back to more of the construction side, I know when I first started, I said it does look like a lot of work left, and it is. There is some reason behind it where we had to sequence a lot of this work, right? We didn't want to do the crosswalks first and then drive trucks over it, although that did happen at one spot, but it's getting fixed. But there was just a lot of sequencing and planning and logistics of kind of building this in a way where we weren't kind of like going over what was constructed. So that's been a challenge, but we've been working through it, and I think we're at a good place with that. We are still confident in opening the road on October 31st, which I know is what we've published the whole time. And then we're saying October 31st for the road opening, just with any project. There's what we call punch list, little detail work, cleanup. That has always been scheduled to continue after October 31st, and we'll try to complete the majority of that prior to the ribbon cutting, which is scheduled for November 8th, which I'll touch on in a little bit. So now kind of going into some weekly updates or communications stuff, rather. We have been passing out weekly updates for the last month or two. Basically, the picture on the left, the construction team, the consultant team has been passing that out. The website's been updated weekly, and then there's also been a flyer here on the right that went out to the full community, which is just kind of reminding people of the project. I guess they probably don't need to be reminded, but reminding them that it's going to be completed October 31st, and then letting them know about the ribbon cutting. So really happy with the communication efforts, especially as of late. For Bank Lane, the remaining work to be completed, which is all during day now at this point, no more light work or night work. There's only one light pole on Bank Lane, so that pole is in. They still have to install the light fixture. They're wrapping up the masonry wall, which I mentioned earlier. Probably going to wrap that up tomorrow. Most of the bricks are done. I think they have to do the limestone coping on top. So once they wrap that up and they're off the road, then a different brick crew will come in, and we're thinking it's probably Wednesday or Thursday, and they're going to actually start laying the pavement brick for the road. So that's when it's going to get really exciting, and when we're going to see a lot of progress. They'll probably get it done in 3-4 days, maybe 5 days. So I think over the next week on Bank Lane, we'll see a lot of progress, which will be exciting. In terms of schedule, same message as Deer Path, where we're on schedule for October 31st, and we're still subject to rain, albeit I would say on this project, probably a little less sensitive to rain due to the type of work, but we're still tracking the rain as well. There is one item that I want to mention. So we have bollards that are going on the south side and the north side of Bank Lane, which were ordered at the very beginning of the project because we knew it had a long lead time. They were supposed to be available this week. We got a call today that they're going to be delayed probably till October 28th. I do not think it necessarily affects finishing the road, but there is a possibility, depending on when we get that when Bank Lane is completed, the bollards won't be there, and we'll have to come back in 2 spots, remove some bricks, and put those bollards in. If that is the case, we will brick it in a way where we're basically anticipating having to do that. So we'll like box out the spot underground where we know those bollards will go. I just want to let you know of that just in case if that is a scenario, you know that it was something that we were aware of, but we couldn't avoid. We don't want people to think that, you know, a week or two later, we're already digging up the road. But fingers crossed that we can avoid that. We're pushing the contractor and asking them to call the manufacturer for that on a daily basis. So to the ribbon cutting, staff is excited to share this project with the community and thank everyone, the community, for their patience. I know it's, you know, tested people in a lot of different ways, and it'll just be exciting to share that with the community. So that is scheduled for November 8th at 10 a.m. We have another slide here, actually the next slide. So 10 a.m., celebrate with us on Bank Lane. I think we're still kind of working on the details, but probably on Bank Lane, just north of Deer Path. Hopefully we have the bollards and we can actually close Bank Lane. There'll be refreshments provided. I think it's scheduled for about an hour. For an hour, still working on the program for that, Dana's team is. At that, or on that day, a passport will be given to anyone that attends, where basically they can shop, collect stamps, and enter to win prizes from local businesses, and that lasts until November 29th, which is small business Saturday, in which there is a cocoa crawl. So really a nice communications plan here with, you know, the project, celebrating the project on November 8th, and then kind of continuing that event through November on and ending on Small Business Saturday. So really nice touch there. So with that, I can take any questions.
Other questions or comments from? Nope. Alderman Novit.
I just have a comment. You guys have done a great job. And I'm so happy to be able to assure anyone who comes up to me and says, I heard it's not going to be done till the middle of November. And
We've heard that.
confidently say, no, it's going to be done October 31st. Just wait. And it's great. Thank you. You guys are great. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Others, Alderman Powers.
It was mentioned earlier this evening, but Bernard Pondexter and the work that he's done has been incredibly impressive. I mean, I probably walk the construction area at least twice a week. He's there with the crew, helping to manage everything from, you know, some of the business owners' concerns. I even saw him help a lady across the street. I mean, it's been really impressive. So, you know, the whole team's done a fabulous job.
And it's contagious when he does that. And I saw someone like trying to walk over with a package, and I'm like, I'll get it. And then he gets kind of upset, right? Because now I'm doing his thing. So, no, he's been great out there.
Are there others? Perfect. Well, listen, thank you very much. Another great presentation.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Look forward to it being the last one.
Thank you.
Well, we look forward to celebrating with all of you in a couple weeks, but thank you for your patience through all these presentations. That concludes my report for this.
Very good. The next item on the agenda is opportunity for citizens to address the council, and I have a request from Kathy Blahanka. Would you like to address the council? Thank you. Just a quick reminder that comments are 3 minutes in duration.
No problem. I have to say I'm very impressed with this meeting, and I'm so glad I came tonight. The reason I'm here is to help educate some of the residents of Lake Forest, specifically those who live within the Shields Township, of how their road funds are being mismanaged or moved into the administrative fund for no apparent reason. There's limited understanding of the working of township government, and so it's hard for people to always know what's going on, and it's such a small unit of government. But the city of Lake Forest spans 5 separate townships, with Shields being the largest in terms of the value of the property and the amount of taxes that you get from the township. Most of the residents are not aware that they pay road taxes to the township, and 50% of the road funds that are collected through the county come back to the municipalities. So if the road funds are being lowered, your municipalities are also losing their money. So Shields Township has never lowered the road funds, as far as I know, going back to prior to 2022. And in 2022, they lowered the road fund by 22% while telling the board the prior month that they needed the maximum allowable increase. Property owners did not get a pay less than their taxes because the money was moved into the administrative fund, which got 32% of the money. So the board was never informed that the road taxes were lowered or that the taxes were distributed back to the municipalities as well as being received by the unincorporated area. So I think they just thought if it was being lowered, it was being lowered in the unincorporated areas. So the township has kept the road levy flat for the past 3 years and announced last week that they plan to do the same this year. The community within Shields has lost $600 in road funds in the past 3 years, and if the new recently elected board continues to be uninformed and improves the supervisor's levy plan, the loss will increase to $850,000 through the end of next year. The cumulative gain to the administrative fund will go from $643,000 to $909,000 next year, and the city of Lake Forest will have lost $250 million, or $250,000. Prior to 2021, there were 2 separate levies, one for the highway district and one for the township district, and it was illegal to move road funds into other funds of the township without electoral approval. In May of 2021, when the highway district was dissolved, the 2 levies became one. If the township continues down this path, the Shields Township community will have lost $1.7 million by the end of this current board's term. So I want to let people know in the community to speak up to the township because your road money is being taken, and please reach out to them and tell them you want your road money back. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Are there others that would like to address the council?
Honorable Mayor and council members, thank you. I just wanted to say how amazing and impressed I was with the Boyle order and all the communications that went on. And after listening to this, I knew there'd been a lot of work done, but I didn't realize how much. So I just want to thank everybody for it, and the communications, as always, were great, and the staff amazing, and it's just really great. And then also, I think wanted to thank Police and Fire again for yesterday's wonderful open house. It was very popular. I think one of the most moving moments was one of the children, who I don't know, that's typical around here, came up and said thank you to the officers and for saving people's lives. So I thought, oh my gosh, I almost cried at that. It was so sweet. I didn't hear any of the fire comments, so next time I'll pay attention. But just thank you. And sitting here listening, I just realized that this truly is a city that works. And it's just so wonderful. So thank you all for all your hard work, and many thanks to the staff for everything they do. It's just amazing. So thank you.
Well, thank you for that. All right, are there other comments or questions? Anybody who would like to address the council? All right, seeing none, we will move on to the next item, which is committee reports. The Finance Committee will be presenting tonight. This is the GFOA Triple Crown Award Presentation and Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. This will be presented by Finance Chair Alderman Weber.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and good evening. I have the honor to present this award tonight. Recently, the city was notified by the Government Finance Officers Association that the city's fiscal year 24 popular annual financial report, otherwise known as the PAFR, has received the GFOA's PAFR Award. The GFOA established the Popular Annual Financial Reporting Awards program in 1991 to encourage and assist state and local governments to extract information from their annual comprehensive financial report to produce high-quality popular annual financial reports specifically designed to be readily accessible and easily understandable to the general public and other interested parties without a background in public finance, and then to recognize individual governments that are successful in achieving that goal. Successfully achieving this award puts the city in a very exclusive club as GFOA Triple Crown winner for the 4th year in a row. This designation is for governmental units that have been awarded the GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, and the GFOA PAFR Award. A couple highlights to note: the city has earned the GFOA Financial Reporting Award 46 consecutive years. The city's earned the GFOA Budget Presentation Award for consecutive 10 years, including recently being notified of receiving the award for the city's fiscal year 26 budget. The city has earned this GFOA PAFR award for 4 consecutive years. And according to the U.S. Census Bureau, there are more than 90,000 units of government in the U.S. Only 354 units of government in the United States currently hold the GFOA Triple Crown recognition. The Finance Department is to be commended for their excellent work they do each and every day that allows for the city to be successful achieving these national recognitions. I would invite you all to stand as I invite the Finance Committee to come up and receive their award.
Very good, thank you. And again, tremendous work. You know, it's tempting to just take it for granted because you all are repetitively excellent in your work. The next item on the agenda will be presented by Jimmy Scott, our staff accountant. This is acknowledgement of receipt of the fiscal year 2025 Treasurer's Report.
Okay, good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight, the Finance Department will be requesting acknowledgement of receipt of the fiscal year 2025 Annual Treasurer's Report, which is included in your packet. Illinois state statute requires municipal treasurers to prepare and file reports that detail financial activity and condition of their municipality each year. This annual report details the money received and spent during the previous fiscal year and must include a list of employees' salaries and wages and vendors who were paid more than $2,500 throughout the year. It is required to be filed with the city clerk, the county clerk, and published in a local newspaper within 6 months of the end of the fiscal year. The Finance Department has arranged for the report to be published this week on Thursday, October 23rd in the Lake Forester. And we also want to remind you that through our financial transparency initiatives, the vendor information is also posted online on the city's website monthly in our financial transparency interactive reports. And if you do not have any other questions, I will turn it back to City Council for acknowledgement of receipt of the 2025 Treasurer's Report.
Are there any questions for Ms. Scott? Okay, thank you
you.
very much. All right, at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to acknowledge receipt of the fiscal year 2025 Treasurer's Report.
So moved.
Second.
This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. The next item will be presented by Katie Skibby, Finance Director. This is consideration of an ordinance restating and reaffirming ordinance number 2024-045, the self-limiting ordinance, first reading.
This is the first reading of the ordinance that was discussed at the finance meeting. This puts into practice the changes to the debt limit ordinance, which allows us to increase the debt cap by an estimated inflation number every year. This will allow us to issue the police station bonds, and which will eliminate the future debt capacity until 2032. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I do have one quick question. So we're estimating the annual increase at 3%, correct?
We are, yeah.
Okay. Do we know for the last 10 years what the average rate of inflation was?
It has been 3%.
Okay, very good. Well, then we're rather on target. Any other questions or comments for Director Skibby? Okie dokie. Thank you very much. At this time, I would like to, it's time for public comment. Is there anyone that would like to comment on this matter? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on. Can I have a motion to approve an ordinance restating and reaffirming ordinance number 2024-045, the self-limiting ordinance, first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Alderman Weber?
Aye.
Alderman Walder?
Aye.
Alderman Novit?
Aye.
Alderman Clemmons?
Aye.
Alderman Notes?
Aye.
Alderman Powers?
Aye.
Alderman Levert?
Aye.
Alderman Boswell?
Aye.
8 yea, 0 nay, motion carries.
Very good. Thank you. The next item on the agenda will be presented by Carrie Kaup, Assistant to the City Manager, in a presentation from the Environmental Sustainability Committee, consideration of proposal to amend City Code Section 135.108C titled Noise Generally.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight, the Environmental Sustainability Committee is requesting your direction regarding a recommendation to amend the city code to limit the allowable hours for lawn maintenance equipment noise. So landscape equipment hours were last reviewed by the council in 2019, but has undergone several changes prior to that. So to help frame the discussion today, I'd like to provide you with a bit of that history, and also to provide you with a summary of the extensive research that ESC has done to get to the recommendation that's before you tonight. And just to be clear, we will kind of delve into the topic of gas-powered leaf blower bans, but the recommendation tonight is only for noise for all landscape equipment, not a gas-powered leaf blower ban. So landscape noise hours were initially adopted in 1991, and it applied to all landscape equipment. In 1998, the council amended the code to distinguish between gas-powered leaf blowers and all other landscape equipment. After implementing that change, it was determined that that differentiation in hours was becoming confusing for residents, for contractors, and sometimes even for city staff that were charged with enforcing that code. And so in 2001, the council realigned the noise hours again for all landscaping equipment. That ordinance remained unchanged until 2019, when the council reduced the allowable hours again to the hours that are currently in place today, which are Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and Sundays and holidays, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. In 2021, a regional leaf blower working group was formed to evaluate the need for additional leaf blower regulations in the area, and this study included looking at the noise impacts of gas-powered leaf blowers versus other alternative technologies. The working group included municipalities, landscaping companies, park districts, and environmental groups to be a well-rounded report. Upon completion of that report, the working group identified multiple reasonable policy options that municipalities could take, including maintaining status quo of no leaf blower specific regulations or adopting seasonal gas-powered bans between 4 and 9 months. So since that study, area municipalities have taken the following approaches. 4 communities have maintained a noise ordinance only. Lake Forest is one of those communities. 1 community has adopted a 4-month seasonal ban of gas-powered leaf blowers, and 6 communities have adopted a 9-month seasonal ban of gas-powered leaf blowers. In 2025, the ESC identified landscaping noise as a priority research topic to determine whether a ban was needed in Lake Forest, as some council members were receiving feedback from residents about the noise. And so staff started by attending a meeting of the leaf blower working group, which was reconvened in the spring of 2025 to help understand the experiences of the municipalities that have gone to gas-powered leaf blower bans, and also to understand the perspective of the landscaping companies. Most communities who moved to bans reported noticing less noise pollution, but that was largely dependent on their enforcement capabilities. So those that maintained complaint-based only enforcement had more difficulty gaining compliance, whereas those who dedicated staff solely to this issue had more success. Obviously, that requires significant staff time to dedicate to this issue. It takes away from other responsibilities. Additionally, some communities did identify that they were still receiving noise complaints, but upon investigation, the equipment being used was battery powered. Landscaping companies also shared mixed feedback. The large companies that could afford battery-powered equipment could easily comply with the gas-powered leaf blower ban. But smaller businesses could not afford those expensive setups and struggled to comply or risk citations working in those communities. For your reference, a commercial-grade gas-powered leaf blower costs between $700 and $800, whereas a battery-powered setup for commercial-grade equipment costs between $3,000 and $7,000. All landscaping companies reported that battery-powered equipment is not strong enough for fall and spring cleanups. And so considering all of this information and all of the data, ESC determined it was reasonable at this point to balance the interests of residents and small businesses, as well as consider the city staff's ability to enforce a ban. And so we returned our focus to landscaping hours only. Looking at our neighboring communities, hours run the gamut, but looking at the chart here, we have weekday hours. On weekdays, the majority of communities start as early as 7 a.m. and end by 7 p.m. Lake Forest is highlighted in pink. We start at 7:30 a.m. and end at 7:30 p.m. Weekend hours are a little more scattered, but as you can see, most communities start at 9 a.m. and end somewhere between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. The caveat to this chart is all of the communities that are highlighted in yellow prohibit landscaping noise on Sundays and holidays. Glenview and Lake Forest have shorter hours on Sundays and holidays, Lake Forest being 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We also engaged our landscape contractors and sent a survey to anyone who's registered as a landscaper in Lake Forest. 96 businesses responded to our survey, and 68% indicated they do not work in Lake Forest on Sundays, and 81% do not work in Lake Forest on holidays. They did note their concerns about limiting Sunday hours because that tends to be their catch-up day for weather delays if there are storms during the week and they're put behind a day. They additionally appreciate being able to work early in the morning, especially in the summer when it's hot. And so with all of the research and all of the feedback, ESC tonight is recommending the following changes to the landscape noise ordinance. Reduce the commercial contract noise hours to Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 7 p.m., which is a reduction of a half an hour in the evening. Reduce Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., which is a reduction of 1 hour in the morning and a half an hour in the evenings, and prohibit Sunday and holiday landscape noise. These hours would not apply to residents. Resident hours would be delineated separately in the code as they currently stand, as listed on the bottom of the slide. Additionally, ESC recommends providing enough time for messaging and communication of this change so landscapers have time to adjust their schedules. And so tonight we're asking for your feedback on the recommendation before you. Depending on your direction, we'll either work with the city attorney to prepare a draft ordinance for your consideration or return to the committee for further evaluation. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
Are there questions for Ms. Kaup?
I just have a comment. Obviously, I'm chair of the Environmental Sustainability Committee. This is something we have been discussing for, I want to say, as long as I've been on it, 3 years, easily. It's the primary complaint I get from residents at every coffee, every town hall. I feel like this is a reasonable approach to at least trying to reduce the noise, which is the bulk of the complaint that we get. Some people are concerned about the gas and the environmental impact. I don't feel like we're in the position to do anything like that at this point. But I do think noise is something we can address. I think this is a reasonable approach in an effort to just make it possible to sit outside in your backyard and have dinner on a Saturday night and not listen to leaf blowers the whole time you're out there. Or wake up to them on Saturday morning. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to compliment the process that you went through, and the conclusions that you're recommending make a lot of sense. I personally snow blow my driveway, and so I'm kind of personally concerned, does this impact that type of activity during the winter?
No, snow blowers are not included in this particular ordinance, so that would not apply. Yeah. Leaf blowers, lawn mowers, noisy landscaping.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are there other comments or questions? Alderman Weber.
Thank you so much. This was a great presentation. Thanks to ESC for their hard work on this, and again, giving the residents the flexibility they need. If you have individuals that care for their own lawn, I know many of my neighbors in the 4th Ward do. My question is regarding once you get through this process, do you have a communication strategy in place to connect with, say, homeowner associations? Because I do hear from residents that live in HOAs. Will it be call the police? Or if you could just maybe share some of your initial thoughts on that strategy.
Sure. So we would work with our communications team, but we do have a landscape licensing process. And so our goal is to put information out during that process. They start applying in January for March start dates. So we would put that information out. Our goal would be to write the ordinance so that that start date aligns with their new season, and then promote that information to them, to residents, use our communication tools, as you've heard all about tonight, to make sure we're spreading that word throughout. I think also with enforcement, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I do think we would have an ability to look at warnings and education, again, prior to issuing any citations or anything like that.
Oh, Alderman Powers.
Again, thanks for the work. I think it's reasonable. My question is a delineation between, we're calling it landscape noise, but this is about leaf blowers. Let's just be clear. So can a commercial landscaper mow my lawn without using a leaf blower, or is lawn maintenance also being eliminated
This would be
during that time?
Yeah, this would be all landscaping equipment to include lawnmowers that would not be allowed to be outside of the hours.
Okay, great, thank you.
I have a question. Is it just gas-powered lawn equipment, or if they chose after hours to utilize purely electric equipment, are they allowed to do that?
They would not be, no.
Is enforcement going to be complaint-driven?
Yes, we would expect that now our enforcement is complaint-driven, and we would continue to do that.
Okay.
Alderman Notes.
To your point, we use robotic lawnmowers in, say, Forest Park Beach. And I have to imagine those are going, I don't know, do they go 24 hours a day? But are we setting ourselves up for violating our own mandate?
I can look in the back to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but really we would operate during normal business hours for maintenance of our own parks or other city assets. It wouldn't be occurring on a Sunday or late in the evening on a weekday.
Yeah,
Yes.
I believe Kerry, I believe this exempts the city because of golf courses and other public land. So this is commercial and residential and does not apply directly to the city.
So, yeah, so we can have the ordinance include exemptions for publicly owned property, and we can make sure that that's in there too. But to City Manager Wisha's point, we most likely operate during the business hours anyway.
Did you have a question in the audience?
Oh, yeah, yes, I did. I have seen those wonderful little lawnmowers at the beach
All right. Very good. So I have sort of one more question. I happen to know that some people in town hire what I will call mom and pop landscape crews, and I'm fairly sure that they're not registered with the city. And then sometimes they're operated through charities. So I kind of wonder, and by the way, they tend to operate on Saturdays and Sundays. So I'm particularly concerned about how we're going to address that issue, because sometimes it appears as if the homeowners are doing it themselves, but the reality is, they're engaging a family to come do this for them. And again, it may be a charitable thing, but it's still likely to be a violation of this. Do we have some thoughts about that?
Yeah, I do think that that's something we would work with the city attorney to kind of address those nuances. Because to your point, there are all different types of people operating the equipment, and where this is a noise ordinance, it has to do with the equipment being used. And so I do think that is a consideration that we need to include in our draft.
Okay. Are there other questions? Alderman Weber.
Just to follow up on that, a suggestion maybe would be lawn equipment operated by those registered at that address. So if you could become, as long as you have a confirmed address at whichever it is, maybe that might be a way to distinguish the difference.
Okay. Are there other comments? Alderman Clemens.
Back to compliance and enforcement. Who should be called if a citizen has a complaint? Is there a hotline? Do they call the police? Who's
Right now,
primary contact?
complaints are taken through the police department.
And I think, again, pending council action on this, we'll have an internal review as to how we would handle that, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's code enforcement through the city's community development department. We'll work through that. The timing of the recommendation from the committee is opportune in that we're about to head into the winter season, so we have a little time to think through how we would handle enforcement, but it might be a combination of multiple departments.
Any other questions or comments from Alderman? Okay. I'll offer this then before we finish up to the public. Is there any other public comment on the matter? Seeing none, thank you very much for the presentation. It was very, very well done, I thought, and very well researched, and I greatly appreciate that. All right, so at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to, actually, we don't have to vote. But there's a general consensus, I believe, to move forward with the draft ordinance for consideration at the next meeting.
Correct. Yes.
Very good. All right. The next item is item 5, which is omnibus vote items. So as always, I'm going to read all the items. If there are any items that the alderman would like removed or taken separately, please let me know after I complete reading. Thankfully, there are only 4 of them tonight. Item 1, approval of Monday, October 6th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. Item 2, approval of the purchase of a 2-year agreement for additional Microsoft Entra Security Suite licensing from Dell Marketing LP based on State of Illinois contract in the amount of $81,933. Item 3, waive the bidding process and authorize the Office of the City Manager to enter into a contract for tuck pointing services on the Beryl Memorial Arch and Gate at the Lake Forest Cemetery to Berglund Construction in the amount not to exceed $50,000. Item 4, authorization to dispose of city property to the highest bidder, Dustin Spence, for the sale of the 1998 Volvo McNeilus rear load packer in the amount of $4,100. Are there any items you would like removed or taken separately? Okay, hearing none, I will ask for a motion to approve the 4 omnibus items as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. This would be a roll call vote.
Alderman Weber.
Aye.
Alderman Walder.
Aye.
Alderman Novit.
Aye.
Alderman Gaines.
Aye.
Alderman Notes.
Aye.
Alderman Powers.
Aye.
Alderman Levert.
Aye.
Alderman Bothwell.
Aye.
I beg your pardon, 8 yea, 0 nay, motion carries.
Very good. Next item is old business, of which there is none this evening, followed by new businesses, of which there is none this evening. So at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn into executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2, parentheses C and 1. The city council will be discussing specific personnel. I will note that there will be no further business following the executive session. May I have a motion to adjourn into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
This will be a roll call vote.
Alderman Novit.
Aye.
Alderman Clemmons.
Aye.
Alderman Notes.
Aye.
Alderman Powers.
Aye.
Alderman Levert.
Aye.
Alderman Bothfeld.
Aye.
Alderman Weber.
Aye.
And Alderman Walter.
Aye.
8 yea, 0 nay, motion carries.
Perfect. We will adjourn into executive session. Again, we will not be returning for additional business. It was a monster, wasn't it?